world of horror cinema has shown us countless terrifying places and creatures, from ghosts in old houses to monsters in ruined cities, and from zombies to werewolves and vampires. But what about the vast and mysterious bodies of water? What about the creatures that quietly, yet powerfully, rule those waters? The one we're terrified of the most as we enjoy ourselves at the beach. We're talking about none other than the sharks. The mere sight of a shark's dorsal fin cutting through the waves is petrifying, to say the least. And today, in this video, we remember the stories that showed us how terrifying this creature can be. That's where shark movies come in, taking our deepest fears about the ocean and bringing them to life with unparalleled intensity. Let's begin our list of the 8 greatest shark movies of all time. Anyways, before we get too deep into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to the channel. It's a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Jaws. When we talk about shark movies, there's one film that always comes to mind first. Jaws. Considered to be one of the best movies ever made, Jaws, directed by Steven Spielberg in 1975, truly invented the summer blockbuster and marked the beginning of a new era with a modernized touch to animal horror. Jaws, based on the book of the same title by Peter Benchley, who himself has a cameo in the film, takes place in a busy beach town called Amity Island, right around the 4th of July. A massive great white shark named Bruce, after Spielberg's lawyer, starts attacking people who are swimming in the ocean. The mayor of Amity Island isn't too keen on closing the beaches because he wants to keep the tourist money coming in. This sets up a major conflict between the people who want to protect lives and the government that cares more about money. It's also about humans against nature and how frightening nature can be. But what is it that makes Jaws so special? Well, for starters, there's that iconic music. The 2 famous yet simple notes, E and F, getting faster and louder, almost making your heart pound. That's John Williams' amazing score, and it's become instantly recognizable. Initially, Spielberg perceived it as a tune that sounded way too simple until he heard the score with the film clips, which actually changed his mind about it. And for the visuals, Spielberg also made a smart choice by not showing the shark very much at the beginning. This was mainly due to a constant malfunction in the mechanical shark during production, but this accidentally made the unseen, or rather lesser seen threat even scarier. The actors in this film are also fantastic. Roy Scheider plays Police Chief Brody, a man who desperately wants to keep his town safe. Richard Dreyfuss is a smart marine biologist named Matt Hooper. And then there's Robert Shaw as Quint, a rough and tough shark hunter. Quint even has a truly moving story he tells about a real-life event, the sinking of the USS Indianapolis, which is truly chilling. But Jaws' influence was so far and wide that it had an effect in various different areas and aspects. Along with reinventing what a blockbuster is capable of and also amplifying that genre's filmmaking, it was apparently accused of being responsible for creating shark panic and shark phobia. As a result, it led to an increase in shark hunting. Spielberg himself lamented over lowering the reputation of sharks, but the film is also credited with generating awareness for sharks in general. The success of Jaws wasn't just about entertainment value, it was also the fact that it made people think differently about sharks and ocean life for decades to come. Even today, Jaws still pulls you in, with its simple plot, which is nothing but a story of a man against beast, along with its incredible script and famous lines like, "You're gonna need a bigger boat," which was in itself improvised. It was the first movie in history to earn over $100 million and also won 3 well-deserved Academy Awards for its editing, music, and sound. Deep Blue Sea. If you're looking for a shark movie that's packed with action, explosions, and a whole lot of fun, then Deep Blue Sea from 1999 is worth watching. This film, directed by Rennie Harlin, is all about genetically engineered sharks that are super smart and very dangerous. The movie takes place in a secret underwater research facility. A team of scientists is trying to find a cure for Alzheimer's disease by experimenting on mako sharks. They make these sharks smarter, but they accidentally make them a bit too intelligent. The sharks begin to turn on their creators, leading to a deadly game of cat and mouse where the humans are fighting for their lives against these cunningly intelligent creatures. Deep Blue Sea has an incredibly deep cast. You've got Thomas Jane, LL Cool J, Saffron Burrows, Stellan Skarsgård, and of course, Sam Jackson, all trying to survive. Director Rennie Harlin, who also directed action movies like Cliffhanger and Die Hard 2, really wanted to make the ultimate shark blockbuster. And to show how over the top they were going, consider this. The shark in Jaws was 25 feet long. Harlan made sure that his sharks in Deep Blue Sea were 26 feet long. This little detail perfectly shows that they were going for it and aiming for bigger, louder, and more extreme. The special effects team, headed by Walt Conti, said that they spent 8 months on the animatronic shark. The underwater setting makes everything feel very closed in and adds to the feeling of lurking danger all around. Rennie Harlan does an excellent job of keeping the tension cranked up, adding an intensity to the fights between the humans and the powerful sharks. Keep in mind that 14 different visual effects houses worked on this film. The Shallows. Directed by Jean Colette Serra, this movie is a gripping story of survival and strictly not a creature movie, according to the director himself. It stars Blake Lively as Nancy, a medical student who goes to a secluded beach to get away from things after her mother passes away. What starts as a peaceful trip quickly turns into a terrifying fight for her life. Nancy is attacked by a great white shark and ends up stranded on a rock just 200 yards from the shore. She's injured and completely alone with only a seagull for company. The tide is rising and the shark is still circling, smelling blood in the water. Nancy has to use all of her grit and determination to outwit the shark and find a way back to safety. It's a truly terrifying situation, and Blake Lively's performance is incredibly appealing, showcasing her fear and pain, especially in close-up shots. Director Jean Colette Serra is really skillful at adding a layer of thrill to movies, and he outdid himself with The Shallows. He knew it would be a challenge to make the film scary without knowing exactly how the shark would look on screen or without his preferred practical effects, but then he ensured the CGI design of the shark was backed by deep research, which apparently took thousands of hours. And the film truly builds tension by making you feel the isolation and danger that Nancy faces. Her only solace from the isolation was a seagull whose real name was Sully, but was hilariously referred to as Steven Seagull by Nancy, a name suggested by Blake Lively herself. The Shallows, which was initially going to be titled In the Deep, is a great example of a single-location thriller where most of the action happens in one small area. Even though Nancy isn't far from the beach, the shark makes getting back seem impossible. The movie's gorgeous cinematography highlights the ocean's beauty, but it also starkly displays how quickly paradise can turn into a deadly trap. Inspired by her husband Ryan Reynolds' performance in Buried, where he himself was trapped in a coffin for the entire movie, Blake Lively wanted to take on a challenge that would similarly test her acting skills. The result is this, a powerful film that isn't based on a true story but feels incredibly real. The critics loved it, especially for its stunning visuals and Lively's strong performance in portraying Nancy's journey from being sad and grieving to becoming a determined survivor. 47 Meters Down. This intense thriller, directed by Johannes Roberts, focuses on the story of two sisters, namely Kate and Lisa, played by Claire Holt and Mandy Moore respectively, were on vacation in Mexico. They decide to try shark cage diving, thinking it will be an exciting adventure to see sharks so closely. However, their fun quickly takes an unfortunate turn into a complete nightmare. The support cable for their cage snaps, and they plunge down a terrifying 47 meters to the floor of the ocean. They're stuck at the very bottom of the deep sea with only a limited amount of oxygen left in their tanks and surrounded by hungry great white sharks. And to survive, they have to figure out a way to get back to the surface, which feels like an impossibly long distance. This film is often labeled a claustrophobic experience in a way that makes you feel trapped and closed in, just like the sisters. The director does a fantastic job of building up tension by including many shots that are seemingly extreme close-ups of Lisa and Kate's face, just showing their terrified eyes behind their diving goggles. Even though the movie feels super real and intense, it's not actually based on a true story. Some critics felt the characters weren't the deepest, but honestly, that's kind of the point. It's less about character arcs and more about dropping you into a terrifying situation and making you live through it. Marcin Colendo and the Outpost VFX team focused on making the sharks look more threatening than usual, especially with their appearance and speed, which really cranks up the tension. 47 Meters Down falls into that category of survival thriller where people are trapped with danger closing in from all sides. And when that final escape happens, it hits hard. If you're into underwater horror and edge of your seat moments, this one's worth a watch. The Meg. Sometimes you just want a movie that's pure over-the-top fun, and that's exactly what The Meg delivers. This film, based on the novel of the same title by Steve Alton, is about a giant prehistoric shark called a megalodon, which was supposed to be extinct but suddenly reappears. This creature is way bigger than any shark you've ever seen, and it causes massive chaos as it chases our heroes out of a deep underwater trench and begins attacking unsuspecting people. The Meg had a huge Hollywood budget, and you can see it in the special effects and the famous actors. It even went went on to earn over $500 million at the box office. The cast is packed with recognizable faces like Rainn Wilson, Bing Lee, Cliff Curtis, Paige Kennedy, Ruby Rose, and most importantly, Jason Statham himself. If you've ever wanted to see Jason Statham punch a shark directly in the face, this might be the movie for you. He brings his signature toughness to the role of Jonas Taylor, along with his experience as a former competitive diver, as he plays the role of a rescue diver who first encountered the megalodon years ago and gets called back to confront it when it resurfaces. While some shark movies try to be realistic or scary, The Meg goes for something different. It mixes sci-fi with a shark story, aiming for something big, loud, and incredibly ridiculous, in the best way possible. Directed by Jan Turteltaub, this film had multiple moments paying homage to Jaws and some interesting creative decisions, like a sonic shift in the sound during underwater scenes for extra eeriness. All of this builds up the thrills and the spectacle of the film. But the critics had mixed feelings about The Meg. They enjoyed its fun, over-the-top style, but felt it wasn't very deep or original. And while these points might be true, that doesn't stop the movie from being a fantastic time for audiences. For those looking for sheer entertainment, The Meg delivers. This movie doesn't just bring a regular shark to the screen, it brings back the most terrifying predator in history, a megalodon, clocking in at over 70 feet long. The chaos that follows its emergence from the deep Mariana Trench is as gigantic as the creature itself. Open Water. Open Water is a truly chilling shark film that taps into one of our deepest fears, being left all alone in the vast, endless ocean. Initially to be titled either Below or Beneath, what makes this 2003 film, directed by Chris Kentis, so powerful is that it feels absurdly real. It was produced using digital video, which gives it a raw and immediate feeling that's hard to find in other shark films. The story follows Susan and Daniel, played by Blanchard Ryan and Daniel Travis respectively, a couple on vacation who decides to go scuba diving. After their dive, everyone else climbs back onto the boat and leaves, but Susan and Daniel are accidentally left behind, floating miles from the shore in the middle of the sea. Their fun adventure quickly turns into an absolute nightmare as sharks begin to circle them. The total cost of making Open Water was less than a typical Hollywood movie's sound effects budget. The movie also doesn't use a lot of dramatic music, while also taking a total of 2.5 years to film. It relies on natural performances from the actors and real ocean settings to create an atmosphere of intense fear. It's almost like you're right there with Susan and Daniel, watching their terror grow as they realize their situation is becoming more and more hopeless. The director even filmed with real sharks, feeding them tuna and hoping they wouldn't harm the actors, but you can truly see the genuine fear on the actors' faces, even though the safety measures were in place. What's even more unsettling is that Open Water is a film inspired by true events. It's based on the real-life story of a couple, Eileen and Tom Lonergan, stranded at sea during a scuba diving trip who were never really found. This real-world connection makes the film's events feel even more terrifyingly plausible. As the hours tick by, Susan and Daniel are faced with not only the lurking sharks, but also the dangers of dehydration and exposure to the sun. Their situation becomes increasingly desperate. The movie is as much about the human spirit dealing with an awful, unavoidable end as it is about the sharks themselves. This is a rare shark film that doesn't feel silly or over the top. This film does a great job of highlighting how vulnerable humans can be against the immense power of nature, leaving audiences with a lasting sense of unease and a newfound respect for the unpredictability of the sea. The Reef. While many shark movies are designed for fun and excitement, the 2010 released thriller from Australia called The Reef feels like a different kind of experience. It's truly and deeply disturbing. This film tells the story of a bunch of friends who start a boat trip to a faraway island. Their yacht suddenly flips over, which leaves them stranded in the middle of the ocean. They face a terrible choice. Either wait in the hopes that someone will rescue them, or try to swim 10 miles to get back to land through waters known to be full of sharks. 4 of the friends decide to swim, and the movie closely follows their terrifying journey. They're being stalked by a hungry great white shark. What makes The Reef so impactful is that the deaths aren't lighthearted or silly. Instead, they're heartbreaking and feel very real. We witness people seeing their most loved ones die in gruesome ways, and the actors do an amazing job of showing that raw emotion. Director Andrew Traucki had a clear goal, and it was to create a shark movie that felt completely authentic. He says that the real fear in this story isn't about a menacing shark, but the uncertainty of where that shark might be and whether it'll attack or not. Trauki even chose to use real shark footage instead of computer-generated imagery or CGI. The production team filmed scenes with live sharks in South Australia, making every fin that appears on screen feel disturbingly real. Unlike many shark movies that use loud, dramatic music to build tension, The Reef is often very quiet. After the terrified swimmers are targeted one after another, the last part of the movie is a very real swim towards the safer area of a reef. The bare few sounds you hear are the gentle lapping of waves and the horrific screams of fear and pain. This near silence makes the quiet moments even more unnerving as you wait for the unseen predator to strike. What's even more chilling is that The Reef is based on a true story. It's inspired by the real events of Ray Boundy, who was the only survivor of a shark attack in 1983 after a yacht capsized off the coast of Australia. This connection to a real tragedy adds another layer of terror to the film. Blue Water, White Death. Long before Jaws made everyone afraid to go swimming, there was Blue Water, White Death. This documentary from 1971 captured audiences with its incredible journey to find and film the elusive great white shark. The film follows adventurer Peter Gimble and his team of expert underwater divers, including famous names like Stan Waterman, Rodney Fox, and Ron and Valerie Taylor. For 6 months, they travel an incredible 1,200 miles across the ocean searching for the great white. Their journey takes them through the Indian Ocean, exploring the waters near South Africa, Sri Lanka, and Australia. Surprisingly, folk singer Tom Chapin also joins them, performing songs aboard the ship. What's fascinating about Blue Water, White Death is that it's not a scientific expedition. It's more about a group of determined individuals driven by an urge to seek adventure. You have a millionaire explorer, a photographer, a folk singer, and a husband and wife team of world champion spearfishermen, along with a crew who sometimes seems a bit clueless. It's a wonder that no one was seriously hurt during this wild journey. Gimble even describes shark diving as a better high than any party scene he's ever known, showing just how intense their pursuit was. The result of all this bold ambition is truly spectacular footage. The film manages to capture stunning images of sharks, especially in its finale. That particular scene was so powerful that author Peter Benchley, author of the book Jaws, said it directly inspired him to create his famous story. This is quite ironic because while Blue Water, White Death helped the divers involved change their minds about sharks, making them see them as more than just mindless predators, it also accidentally inspired a series of movies that did the exact opposite for the public's view of sharks. The team searches for a long time without seeing any great whites, but just a few minutes before the end of the movie, they finally find them in the cooler waters of Australia, near beaches where seals live, a common hunting ground for these magnificent animals. Marvelous verdict! And that's our list of the 8 best shark movies ever. Hope you found a couple of new ones to check out or were reminded of some classics you haven't seen in a while. Shark movies have gone from serious to totally wild over the years, but one thing's for certain, nothing beats that fear of what's lurking beneath the surface. If you had fun with this video, hit that like button, share it around, and let us know in the comments down below which shark movie is your all-time fave. And hey, if you're into horror, thrillers, and other movie deep dives, subscribe to Marvelous Videos so you don't miss out on what we're cooking up next. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll catch you in the next one. Until then, ciao.